If your inner carnivore simply can't be tamed, then a visit to Peter Luger, one of the most iconic steakhouses in the world, is in order. Here's everything you need to know before you go. If you want to dine at the original Peter Luger Steakhouse, then you need to head over to 178 Broadway in the Williamsburg neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York. If you're using public transportation, there's a bus stop right outside. Or if you're willing to drive through the city and don't mind paying for parking, there are a number of lots nearby. If you're taking the subway, the Marcy Avenue station on the J and Z lines is the closest stop to get off of. But if you need to get in some exercise first to work up an appetite, then you can walk over the Williamsburg Bridge from Manhattan and head to the restaurant from there. It should take about half an hour to get from the end of the bridge to dinner. If you're not in the Big Apple, there's another location nearby in the Great Neck region of Long Island. There are also a couple of locations outside of New York State, including one in Las Vegas and another in Tokyo, Japan.
Everybody knows they can get a good steak here.
It's no secret that nabbing a table at Peter Luger is no easy feat, and if you don't want to wait around, then booking in advance is a must. You can book up to 1 month ahead, which is absolutely worth it. For the Brooklyn location, you can do it online or make a reservation over the phone, while the Great Neck location will only accept the latter. If you're able to sweet-talk your server, then a corner table in the Williamsburg spot is a golden space. You'll get an entertaining view of the waitstaff as they bring plates in and out, and you'll also be able to people-watch the neighborhood. If you want to try your luck at just turning up for a table, then know that the restaurant opens at 11:45 a.m. for lunch service and then stays open all the way through dinner. You're less likely to have to wait a while if you come in for an early meal. If you do have to wait, it's not the end of the world, as you can get a drink at the big bar right at the entrance of the restaurant. Make sure you bring cash or another form of appropriate payment when you head to Peter Luger. The restaurant will accept its own Peter Luger card, as well as checks, cash, and American debit cards. So international tourists beware, as a travel credit card probably isn't going to cut it. If you're paying with cash, then you'll need plenty of it, because this isn't going to be a small bill. Steaks start from $70.95, sides start from $17.95, and desserts are $14.95. All that adds up pretty fast, meaning that a 3-course meal for one will total well over $100. And that's before you've added tip, tax, and a martini or a glass of wine. What's better than a fresh basket of bread at your table?
I love bread.
As soon as you sit down at Peter Luger, you'll indeed be greeted by an overflowing bread basket, along with a generous portion of butter. There are 3 different types in the basket: an onion roll, a classic roll, and a caraway-seeded soft breadstick. All of them smell delicious, and will tempt you to throw your napkin on your lap and begin tearing into them until you're left with nothing but crumbs. But remember that carbs are filling, and the last thing you want to do before being presented with your hefty steak is to be too full. And if we're being honest, this basket is actually pretty average as far as complimentary bread services go. So after a few bites, put the bread down, leave the butter alone, and just hold on until your full meal comes. We promise it'll be worth the wait. It's not just the complimentary bread basket that's waiting for you right when you sit down, as you'll also get a jug of delicious steak sauce ready to be poured. You might find that to be a weird option to have with your bread, but as your waiter will surely tell you, the steak sauce is so good that you'll want it on everything. Everything apart from the steak, that is. You'll also be told that the steak is so delicious as it is that the sauce would just cover up the flavor of the meat. Thankfully, you are allowed to add the sauce to anything else, and it is indeed delicious on anything else. And it's so popular that you can even buy a bottle to take home. So put it on the side of your plate to swipe your bread through and dunk some French fried potatoes in it, but leave the steak out of it. There's a reason that the steaks at Peter Luger are so famous. Since the restaurant's inception, both the quality and quantity of the beef have been top priority. The quality is about as good as you can find anywhere, as all the beef is USDA prime grade and made using younger cows. Generally, it's thought to be the highest quality you can find. Plus, each cut is chosen by a member of the restaurant family at wholesale markets. Waitstaff will proudly tell you that if the meat isn't approved by them, then it won't even be allowed in the door. On the menu, you'll spot a $5 surcharge if the table orders a steak for one to split between 2. That's because the portion size is quite generous. So arrive in your loosest pants and be prepared for the meat sweats soon after you leave.
Here come the meat sweats.
Don't expect a lot of choice when it comes to the steak at Peter Luger. Despite being a world-famous steakhouse, this restaurant only really serves 2 cuts of beef, the porterhouse and the ribeye. They're cut into easy-to-share slices, so you won't have to dangerously hack away with a serrated knife, as you can instead happily scoop the meat onto your plate with the spoon provided. Though the cut is a simple choice between 2, the process of cooking the beef is anything but simple. All the beef is dry-aged on-site, giving it a properly savory umami flavor. It's likely that your waiter will recommend that you order your steak medium rare, as it's the best way to taste that signature dry-aged flavor that the process infuses into the meat. And remember, no steak sauce allowed on that steak. Nowadays, we're fortunate that plenty of the meatiest culinary establishments also serve some pretty delicious food that vegetarians can also enjoy. From the fried corn sticks and pickled beet salad at Rodizio Grill Brazilian Steakhouse to the completely vegan filet mignon at Charlie's Steakhouse, there are plenty of delicious ways for meat abstainers to dine out with their carnivorous friends. Except at Peter Luger, that is, as there are no vegetarian main courses to speak of at this particular steakhouse. You could get the house salad to start or a side of onion rings, but there aren't too many vegetarian options beyond that. And make sure you stay away from the creamed spinach, as it's made with chicken stock. So if you're abstaining from animal protein and find yourself tagging along to a dinner at Peter Luger, make sure you're not absolutely ravenous. If you can eat the chicken stock-laced creamed spinach, then we'd recommend ordering a portion for the whole table. Not only is this a wonderfully tasty version of a steakhouse classic, but you'll also get a hefty amount of it, especially if you choose the for-two order option. And in fact, all of the sides at Peter Luger are generously portioned enough to make them great for family-style sharing. Your waiter will likely dollop a few bits of whatever you've ordered for the table onto your plate, before leaving the remainder of the sides on the table for you to help yourself as needed. One side that is an absolute must-order is the famous thickly cut bacon. It might seem a little counterintuitive to add even more meat to an already incredible meaty meal, but one bite of this cured, slightly smoky, extremely delicious bacon, and you'll quickly be convinced otherwise.
I love bacon.
If you happen to find yourself heading to Peter Luger during the middle of the day, then make sure you make the most of the lunch specials. These change daily, so check what's on the menu ahead of time to avoid being disappointed. The specials range between things like a pot roast on Mondays, filet of sole on Tuesdays and Fridays, or a home-style chicken on Wednesdays. There are also some mainstays to the lunch menu. For example, no matter which day of the week you visit, there will always be the Peter Luger burger. And of course, you're also always welcome to the steak whenever you're in the mood. Keep in mind that the specials are only available until 3:45 p.m. each day, so don't turn up past then and expect to be served that chicken you had your heart set on. The lunchtime specials aren't without a bit of controversy, like the Peter Luger burger, which may just not be worth it. There's a lot of hype about it from some corners, with lofty claims that it's the best burger in New York City due to its seriously delicious simplicity that makes for quite the juicy bite. But ultimately, the burger itself is almost too simple. Arriving in a potato bun, it's a thick patty, a half pound to be precise. The meat is certainly top quality, and you'll have to pay top dollar too, as it will set you back $19.95, and that's before you've paid extra to add a slice of American cheese or any sides. For a burger and fries, you're going to be plunking around $40, which is a pretty penny to be spending on an extremely simple menu item. So save your cash and get a cheap burger elsewhere, and instead spend your hard-earned dollars on what you should be ordering at Peter Luger anyway, the steak. The controversies surrounding Peter Luger don't stop with the burger. The restaurant was awarded a Michelin star back in 2021, but then in 2022, that star was removed, which confused and confirmed people's opinions in equal measure. While the quality is still the same USDA standard, and the old steakhouse charm is still very much alive and kicking, Peter Luger was said to have lost a bit of its famous sparkle. There was also an infamous New York Times article in 2019 that began the whispers of discontent, and many people have weighed in since to offer their 2 cents.
I'm not going to stop eating here because some guy in the Times doesn't like it.
While the steaks generally earn consistent praise, customers claim that the service isn't what it used to be, that the sides are lacking in flavor, and that the prices are simply too high. When there's a huge slab of high-quality, perfectly cooked, expensive steak in front of you, it's going to be hard not to lick the plate clean. But when you head to Peter Luger, make sure you leave some room for what comes after. The dessert menu is so tempting that your stomach is very likely to start rumbling again. It includes classics like apple strudel and key lime pie, as well as Luger's special Holy Cow Hot Fudge Sundae, which are all worthy of busting a gut for.
And what is this monstrosity?
Holy cow!
Every dessert order comes with a saucer of schlag, a puffy whipped cream that you can spoon onto your plate or straight into your mouth as you wish. And if all that sweetness still isn't enough, you'll also be given a complimentary chocolate coin on your way out to tide you over just a little bit more.